Even with years of experience, one of the hardest parts of forecasting hurricanes is figuring out when they will rapidly intensify. A St. Johns County native is leading a team of scientists at NASA working on a groundbreaking study that could lead to fewer people having to evacuate when a storm approaches.
We just got the latest in from the Hurricane Center. Would be right over the core of the First Coast.
I remember I used to run in the room when it came on the air.
80 devastating winds.
Growing up on the First Coast, Patrick Duran grew up watching meteorologist Tim Deegan.
Tim came out and gave a seminar on hurricanes at my dad's work. And when Tim came in the room, he walked right up to me and he shook my hand and said hello and talked to me and signed my 1995 hurricane tracking chart.
Is a forecast of where the eye will be.
Now, Tim is using Patrick's research to help keep the First Coast safe. A 2008 graduate of Bartram Trail High School, Duran is now a meteorologist and works in Huntsville, Alabama at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center.
My job is to find ways to use the data from NASA satellites, figure out the ways that we can apply those data to making better weather forecasts and creating products that weather forecasters can use. In addition to doing some basic research to try to understand, for example, how hurricanes intensify.
He led a team of scientists in a study that found lightning may help predict hurricane intensity. They studied Hurricane Dorian, which devastated the Bahamas in 2019 when it made landfall as a Category 5 storm.
When the storm was intensifying, the lightning flashes were a lot bigger and they were brighter. If there are a lot of flashes but they're small and they're not as bright, then that can mean that the storm is actually weakening. I've seen enough storms at this point to convince me that there's something here.
The data is coming from a satellite called a geostationary lightning mapper.
It's very exciting, and I think this instrument can tell us about some of the structures in hurricanes that are very difficult to observe. Lightning can actually tell you about what the thunderstorms look like, and then the thunderstorms can tell you whether the storm's going to intensify or how it's going to evolve.
He says the new tool could be particularly helpful in forecasting when storms will rapidly intensify.
If you have a hurricane that's approaching Jacksonville or some other coastal area, there's the potential that it can rapidly intensify, and suddenly you might, instead of having a Category 1 or 2 hurricane, you have a Category 5 hurricane approaching the coast.
Dorian is a little farther east than where Matthew was.
As the forecasting of hurricanes has improved, Duran's research is just one more tool in the toolbox.
You know, over the years, the size of the coast that had to be put under a hurricane warning and an evacuation order has shrunk. And so I think that this research in particular, by helping to improve hurricane intensity forecasting potentially, could help to further shrink those areas that need to be warned.
It's really important research. And Tim, you've been forecasting for more than 40 years. Put this into perspective for us.
It's almost tough, Heather, because what Patrick has done, I should say what the doctor has done, is put together the data from the tool, a very new tool that a lot of us kind of thought was showing us something very exciting. And he's put together, him and his team, peer review research that now, well, let's put it in perspective. Same type of hurricane 20 years earlier, talking about Floyd. With this tool, with the peer-reviewed research that the doctor, that Patrick has put together, we will probably now be able to evacuate 1/10 of the amount of people that we did back about 20 years ago. Very exciting.